very much for joining the special plenary session with Nobel Laureates. I'm Yoko Shinpuku, a former Global Young Academy Executive Committee, a former Vice Chair of the Young Academy of Japan, and a professor in Global Health Nursing in Hiroshima University. And I'm a general moderator of this session today. The purpose of this session is to create a place for senior and young researchers to discuss the current issues and the future in science, technology, and innovation. Today, we are honored to have 3 Nobel laureates. Let me briefly introduce them. Professor Takaaki Kajita. In 2015, Professor Kajita was awarded Nobel Prize in Physics for the discovery of neutrino oscillations, which shows that neutrinos have mass. The 30th President of Science Council of Japan, person of cultural merit, currently a professor at the Institute for Cosmic Ray Research of the University of Tokyo. Professor Hiroshi Amano. In 2014, Professor Amano was awarded Nobel Prize in Physics for the invention of efficient blue light emitting diodes, which has enabled bright and energy-saving white light sources. Distinguished Fellow of the National Institutes for Material Science, International Member of National Academy of Engineering of USA. Professor Sir Kostya Novoselov. In 2010, Professor Novoselov was awarded Nobel Prize in Physics for groundbreaking experiments regarding the two-dimensional material graphene. He was elected as Royal Society Fellow in 2011, one of the directors of the National Graphene Institute, and he sits on the International Scientific Advisory Committee of Australia's ARC Centre of Excellence in Future Low Energy Electronics Technologies. With them, we will have parallel panel discussions in the form of breakout session. Each group will consist of 8 young researchers from various fields and countries. There are moderators in each breakout session. The room number 1, Professor Kajita's room, is moderated by Dr. Michael Saliba, a GYA co-chair and a professor in University of Stuttgart, Germany. The room number 2, Professor Novoselov's room, is moderated by Dr. Almas Taj-Awan, a former GYA Executive Committee and a co-founder and principal investigator, Zika Lab Diagnostic, Brazil. The room number 3, Professor Amano's room, is moderated by Dr. Aya Shalini Sabash, a former GYA Executive Committee and an assistant professor at Food Engineering and Technology Department Institute of Chemical Technology, India. And panelists in each group are already assigned to groups. So all the panelists, after this introductory session, please go to the assigned group and stay there for discussion. If you are not sure about your group, please go to tsukubaconference.com sessions P-3 and you'll find your name there. After you join the room, please listen to the guidance of the moderator of each group and enjoy the discussion with the laureate. For audience, you may choose which room you will join. As the breakout session is about 1 hour and 15 minutes, you may stick with one room or hop around 3 rooms according to your preferences. Discussion topics are very diverse and already announced on the website. If you want to look at the discussion topics, please go to tsukubaconference.com sessions P3. Then you may find discussion topics in each group. After the breakout session, we'll come back to the main room here and have a summary session. The summary session will be moderated by Dr. Anindita Batra, an immediate past GY co-chair, and an associate professor and associate dean of international relations and outreach at the Indian Institute of Science Education and Research, Kolkata, India. I'm going to provide a time schedule. We will start breakout sessions right after this introductory session. Please choose a session you want to join, and it lasts until 9 p.m. in Japan, which is 12 UTC. After that, we will have a short break around 15 minutes. We will start a summary session at 9:15 p.m. in Japan, which is 12:15 UTC. Okay, that's all from me. Are there any questions from the moderators or panelists? I believe we are all ready. Okay, please go ahead and have a fruitful discussion time.
Muted, Shalini. Shalini, I can see that you are unmuted, but can you talk to just double check that we can hear you? Yeah, I don't hear her. What about the rest? You hear her. Oh, okay, sorry, that's me.
No, I cannot hear her either.
Not hear her either. Thank you.
Shalini, shall we give you 2 more minutes to see if you can fix it? Otherwise, I jump in. Okay, so just in the meantime, maybe we can, I can take over and we can start as we plan. Professor Amano, thank you so much for your presentation. I was quite interested with the 3 questions that you asked to these young scientists. The first one was if it's okay if humans can control the weather, and you put an example of the typhoons. And then the second question was, if are we allowed or shall we choose which ones are the species that are not going to be lost in the future due to biodiversity loss and all the environmental breakdown. And the third one was if it's okay if humans start enhancing their capabilities through artificial intelligence. So I'm very glad that we have a group of young scientists next to you that can also ask you some questions back, or maybe send some comments about what are your impressions about the presentation of Dr. Amano. So who would like to start? Perhaps Alma, since I see you next to me.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Professor Amano, it's a really an honor to me to stay here and share this virtual table with you and all my colleagues. Thank you so much.
Rachel, thank you.
Thank you. Well, I think that related with your first question about our plans for the controlling maybe the global disasters, I think that until now, some global disasters has earthquakes or typhoons or another big challenges, big global challenges like this are inevitable, but not the disaster. I think that the natural disasters are not not preventable today, but I think that the damage that can cause these disasters can be really moderate and controlled by our authorities, our relation with the society and with the decision makers. I think that we can work in a prevention culture in such a manner that we can. So sorry, my internet is. I don't know if you can help. You can.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Sorry, but I can see you, and so it. So okay. Well, I was saying that I think that the disasters, the magnitude of the disasters can be controlled by the prevention of our society, and in order to do that, our relation with the policymakers and the decision makers in especially in the issues related with global culture, with global issues like this, we need to enhance our participation with this. And today people think that many researchers and many scientists are in an ivory tower, and we are really very very far from the society's needs. So I think that we need to work more in our capacities. We need to build more capacities for connection with policymakers, and in order to prevent the real damage for these disasters. Thank you.
Dr. Amano, do you have some comments, or would you like to have three people talking and then you jump in?
Oh, yes, please. Yeah, please
Okay.
discuss first. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
then I'll answer or respond to your question or your comment.
Perfect. Maybe Dr. Hitoshi Taguchi would like to jump in as a second speaker.
Hi, I'm Hitoshi Taguchi. from NID. NID is National Institute. That's my research. The institute mission is to conduct research for national disaster risk reduction.
Oh,
My research is disaster information. Professor Amano's presentation, I saw the movie, the video. I am very interested in. First question is: Will we allowed to control typhoon?
yeah.
I think one day, if this technology reduce risk of flood or mud flow, I think it's very good. I think very good technology. I hope to come true. However, I worry about the shortage of water. In the monsoon season, much water come to Japan at the same time typhoon is coming. I think that this technology has potential to reduce the amount of water. So in Japan, the much of water is used for agriculture, drinking, and industry. So I worry about the shortage of water. So the reducing water has very critical influence to all over Japan. So I worry about the shortage of water. Thank you.
Perfect. And to finish maybe with this round, Dr. Doi Hiroto would like to have some comments?
Yeah,
or
hello.
questions?
Can you hear? I am Hiroto Doi, assistant professor at the University of Tsukuba. My specialty is philosophy and radio studies. So, unlike you, I am participating in this project from the standpoint of the humanities. Therefore, I would like to offer other perspectives. From the perspective of history of religions, it can be said that religions create the framework for realizing human-centered innovation in terms of mind or spirit. The founders of many world religions, just like Jesus Christ and Buddha, also were visionaries who envisioned the future of human society. The social implementations to realize them followed. Such a perspective seems important to avoid thinking of technology and human beings as a simple dichotomy. What do you think about this? This is my questions.
Dr. Amano, the floor is yours.
Sure. Okay. Thank you so much for the comment and questions. As for the disaster, yeah, it's the three subject is not my opinion. The young researchers' opinion. The young researchers think that these three subjects are very, very important. And for the disaster, some researchers, Riken, Dr. Miyoshi, found that by we cannot expect the direction of the typhoon. It's the cow theory. So, but according to him, he found that by small amount of the modulation, maybe we can control the direction of typhoon. That's the important point. So we have just started whether we can control the typhoon or not. It's a long project until 2050. So it's a 30 years project. And at present, we can technologically control the typhoon, but the point is the cost. The yeah, we need a lot of ice and dry ice to control the typhoon. But by concentrating on this subject in future, maybe we can control the typhoon. But if it is true, we should consider next whether we should or we can do that's several issues we should discuss. Not only the inside the country, but also the country to country problem. So who should decide? Maybe the first related to first question, we should discuss not only the researchers itself, but also the politicians or other the people, not in one country, but all over the world. We should discuss. That's the point. And for the question about humanity, could you repeat once again? I cannot really catch the point of the third question. So
Dr. Doi Hiroto, would you like to
yeah,
summarize maybe the question?
yeah.
Sorry, I have forgotten a little. My question is how humanities should express their ideas to such a problem. For example, for example, in Japan, various attempts have been made and documented by many scholars, such as Great East Japan earthquake. If such knowledge could be shared widely between the countries and cultures, what do you think about this?
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Especially in Japan, it's this subject about the humanity or the health of the the mind is very special in Japan. Yeah, we gathered the proposal from the young researchers. It's the human health, no, the mind health problem is not included in the SDGs 17 goals. So it's very special in Japan. Now we have 4 million people suffered from the mind health problem in Japan. Yeah, maybe it is related to some weather or disaster like earthquake or the typhoon. Or there are many typhoons and there are many earthquakes in Japan. It may be related to the disaster of this country, but we should face this mind health problem. Do you know that? How about your country, for example, India or other countries? Do you have similar problem or?
Shalini, maybe you can answer that part for India, if we can hear you. Let's see. Unfortunately, we cannot hear you. Maybe you can write some things on the chat.
Oh, chat.
We can hear you, Shalini. So if you write some things in the chat, I make sure to read them. And in the meantime, I'll give the floor to the second group. So maybe we can start with Pradeep Kumar. Would you like to have some questions or comments for Professor Amano?
Thank you so much, Clarissa, and Prof. Amano. This is an honor to meet you, even if it's e-meeting. So
My pleasure. Thank you.
yeah, so I went through the I'm very intrigued with three questions that you already asked, and the first question was that should we be interfering with the weather? And I think we're already doing that, but in a bad way. Okay, so we already changed the climate fully, and I'll speak from South African perspective because I'm from South Africa.
Oh,
It's a
really?
water, yeah. So it's a water scarce country, as Hitoshi was saying as well. That so you have too much water in Japan. We have too less water in South Africa. So in the middle part of Africa, it's very fine because it's by the equator, the water is nice. But in the southern part of Africa, is a very water scarce country. And I don't know which. So and we went to a crisis in Cape Town a few years ago, where the whole world was looking at us and say 2 liters of water was actually a luxury at that time. So if we can change, so maybe we can move Japanese water to South Africa. But the thing, so that's my, that will be a dream come true. But the thing is, there's water, but the thing is, the there's not enough water harvesting, and the usage. I see the usage of water is. I think we need I think we have everything that we need as resources in the world. But I think we need to contain it. We need technologies that can contain, that can better use it efficiently, and as you said, change the direction of the tornado. Why not change the direction of monsoon? It's a big process, maybe 500 years project, but I will say an efficient technology that can be used, it will be great.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's technologically possible, maybe possible. But the point is, if we control the weather, we may also affect the all the climate of Earth. At present, we cannot expect how our technology affect the old Earth climate. So we have just started.
Am I audible now?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Wow,
thank you,
that's
Prof. Amano.
fantastic. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, may I ask one question, Professor Amano? Very interestingly, Doctor asked that about typhoon, and you said that technologies are really expensive. And just yesterday, in my own native place, there were 10 deaths because of one typhoon. The name is Gulab typhoon, and there was a lot of destruction occurred because of that. So particularly for developing country, the technologies are not affordable. So what would you suggest to young scientists to develop technologies that are cost effective, especially for developing countries, poor population? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes. Uh yeah, the the climate control can be done in the computer. The young scientists are using the supercomputer Fugaku to uh, estimate the weather or the typhoon or the monsoon. The It becomes more and more precise. So, as a first step, maybe it is better to join this kind of discussion with their simulation experts people. Uh, then uh, maybe you will find that it may be possible to control the weather. And after that, uh, please discuss whether we should do that. We should not do that. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Amano, for such a wonderful insight. And I'm sure, over the period of time, the young scientists will put in their hard work and under the able mentorship and guidance, like scientists like you, will be overcoming these challenges and hurdle. But it is very impossible to overcome nature. So I now request the panelists or young scientists to put in their questions in the chat box, or they can unmute themselves and talk to Professor Amano to solve the problems of science and technologies, how that science and technology can help to solve the problems which are globally, economically, or in the environment. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes, Clarissa is here with a very beautiful question. Yes, over to you, Clarissa.
Professor Amano, as you may imagine, I personally don't have the chance to talk with a, Nobel awardee every day. So my question will be, how can we, like this group that we are here together that has different areas of work, I can see religious studies, economics, AI, global risks, pharmaceutical, microbiology, how could we help you in one of the avenues of your work? Are you working in some sort of maybe policy engagements, or are you working in other type of works that may need some of our, all or some of our knowledge, and maybe we can help you and start building bridges for the future? I don't know. I will be, if this is the beginning of a collaboration in the future, will be really great.
Oh, great. Thank you. My specialty is not the weather control or the humanity. My specialty is the semiconductor physics. And now the situation changes drastically, and we have to develop a new technology by which we can accelerate the renewable energy ratio. Now in Japan, still we are using fuel cells. The percentage is very, very high, over 80%. So we have to reduce the ratio of fuel cell. It's an energy problem. And increase the ratio of the renewable energy. But the problem is the cost is too high. So actually the national people or the people understand the importance of renewable energy. And they think if they can increase the ratio of renewable energy, it is very, very acceptable. But the problem is the cost. So we are considering how to accelerate the ratio of renewable energy. Yeah, maybe the researchers or scientists' effort is not enough. We should discuss with the economists, where we should discuss with the politicians, and then we should find a way to reduce the ratio of fuel cells, fuel uh, uh, or gases or the oils.
Thank you, Professor Amano, for that wonderful insight. Yes, it is very rightly said by you that economists, politicians, and scientists, they should work hand in hand so that this renewable energy's importance is realized, and common people also should be made aware about this. So there should be more dialogue, more discussion amongst all the stakeholders who are responsible for this specific a ratio of fuel or renewable energy. So are there any more questions? Yes, I see Professor Pradeep Kumar has raised his hand. Yes, thank you, Professor Pradeep. And after Pradeep, Alma.
Thanks, Shalini. Thanks, Prof. So, I have a very you work in semiconductors. I'm a pharmacist by profession, and I work in regenerative medicine. So I have seen so let's go to the semiconductor part now. So
Mhm.
I saw the news recently that Toyota is putting 40% production down because of shortage of semiconductor chips.
Oh yes, yes, yes.
So Prof, my question is very futuristic in terms of, so we all taking these technologies and you can see from the examples of vaccines as well. When we needed them, we didn't have enough supply.
Oh,
So
right,
okay,
right.
so we had all the infrastructure, everything industry can make in a 3 shift.
Mhm.
I think for pharmacy side of view, even if you take 4 shifts, you can only make 5 million or 50 million vaccines in a month.
Mhm.
Okay, in the biggest facility in the world.
Mhm.
Okay, so and the same applies now to semiconductor chips. So when we need them, these technologies, the high-end technologies, actually, I will say, we always have shortage of these things. So,
Right, right.
any thoughts on your side, Prof? How, as young researchers, we take these things from account from now, that if we develop a technology now, how we make it sustainable and available
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
longer time?
Yeah,
Thank you, Prof.
that's very important. Thank you. Thank you for the very nice comment. Yeah, right. Maybe we need a strategy. Each country needs a strategies for several things. Or, uh, for example, the vaccination. We should prepare, but in Japan, the the preparation of vaccine is delayed, and also the semiconductor devices. We should prepare, but the this shortage of semiconductor comes from the increase of the smartphone. The smartphone or the PCs in the house is increasing drastically by the corona problem. So many people use the PCs or the smartphone for in their house. So that's the origin of the problem. So we should discuss the strategy before starting some disasters. And uh, yeah, so that's why the young people think that the resilience is more important. The resilience becomes more and more important. So we should predict the what's the near future problems. So the strategies of the government is very, very important. The scientists should discuss the politicians or the other specialists. Okay.
Thank you,
Uh,
Prof. So, as
yeah,
Clarissa was saying, we need to advise and
mm,
policy advice, and everything must go hand in
yeah,
hand.
yeah.
Thank you so much, Prof. That was a really nice answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pradeep, for such a wonderful question.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't hear from Dr. Matthew and Dr. Hitoshi, Dr. Inataro. Yeah, please, Dr. Matthew, we would like to hear your comments.
Dr. Arya, thank you. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. My name is Matthew Levy. I'm the founder and chairman of Noble AI.
Mm-hmm.
We're an industry company based in San Francisco, California.
Mm-hmm.
We are interested in creating algorithms that accelerate specific processes associated with innovation and
Mm-hmm.
discovery
Mm-hmm.
around blueprint design of microchips and other devices.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you to the organizers of Tsukuba Conference, particularly Nonaka-san, Shinfuku-san, and others. And thank you, Amano-san, and all of our panelists and moderators here today. It's an honor and a pleasure to participate with you. with the goal to provide a physics perspective and industry perspective. Amano-san, thank you again for your 3 questions on the future of science and technology. The question I wish to put to you concerns the ethics of development of science and technology in the 21st century. One commonality between your 3 questions is the development of new technologies that are very powerful with significant implications, as other panelists have pointed out. I believe as scientists ourselves, we have an important obligation to consider the ethics of the systems that we are creating, young researchers and all researchers. So my question to you is, what are the best frameworks, in your opinion, for ensuring that we develop these systems in an ethical and safe way for the future?
Wow, that's a very important point, but it's very difficult to answer. Maybe for ethics issues, we should discuss at the same time. Maybe we cannot control or we cannot suppress the interest. So some researchers want to understand what's going on, or what's the real nature of the cosmos or something. Yeah, but at the same time, we should also discuss the ethics and so the young researchers always think, okay, they can focus on, they can concentrate on what their interest, but at the same time, they should consider the ethics and the effect of the technology to the earth or to other people. So ethics should always be discussed if there's some technology emerge or some project start. So in our case, the moonshot project in Japan, we always discuss with the ethics also. So some projects start, we should discuss the ethics. So ethics is a very important point. Thank you for your comment.
Thank you, Professor Amano. Ethics, I think, is the top priority, and all the young scientists, not only young scientists, from the school days, children should be taught and trained. Every individual who is dealing with science and technology should first trained for ethics. Then only common people and the entire humanity will get benefited immensely. I think that's the most important priority. And thank you so much, Dr. Matthew, for bringing such an important issue in this discussion. Yes, I see Professor Rina Taro. Do you like to comment and ask any questions to Professor Amano? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Sharini, for raising this. And first and foremost, thank you so much, Amano Sensei, for this opportunity. And I feel very privileged to be here. So thank you, Amano Sensei, for raising the issue of cost. So I have something to say as an economist, perhaps. So I have 2 points. One point is that you raised the issue of the costly technology of semiconductors as well as renewable energy. And perhaps we can go back to the technology of typhoon control. And I don't know how costly it is, but at the same time, we have to consider the benefits of this technology. And I looked at the Meteorological Agency's data set, and the death toll, the people killed in a typhoon, has been decreasing in Japan. And it's like just 100 deaths in 10 years in Japan. And of course, this is a huge number, but compared to 20 or 30 years ago, it's fastly decreasing. So if you focus on just the Japanese data, maybe we should put more emphasis on adaptation and how we can motivate people to adapt to a newer climate and take more cautious behavior. That's a lot less costlier. And of course, I'm not supposing cost benefit type of analysis to every new technology, but it's an aspect worth considering when thinking about the technology. Let me just put a second aspect. The ethical consideration has been raised by Matthew and Amano, which I appreciate. And I just noticed that in Japan, we call typhoon as something like typhoon number 16. By the way, it's coming this weekend. But it's interesting to note that perhaps Japan is the exception, but in the West, they attach human names to typhoons and hurricanes, like Hurricane Katrina or Sandy or Cyclone Mitch or something like that. We call it just label the numbers. So it's a lot harder for us Japanese to sympathize with typhoon. But it's interesting to imagine that typhoon or the climate system lives like a human being or human living creature. Then perhaps I would feel a bit guilty to perturb the system and control the system. So it's I think it's a bit ridiculous thought experiment, but it's a good way to expand our imagination to think about ethics.
Okay.
That's from my side.
Yeah. The cost is a very, very important issue. For example, if we pay 100 billion yen, we can suppress the 1 trillion yens, the disasters. But the people really pay for 100 billion yen or not? That's something like that. So the people who suffered from the very serious disease, or maybe they will pay for that, but other people do not want to pay. That's the point. That's the problem. And also the for the weather control. It's not only the disaster, but also the spiritual or cultural issues. The Asian people or the ordinary people, maybe they fear about, if the human can control the weather, they really want to do that or not. So there are some other issues in addition to the ethics, the human mind problem. So yeah, technologically very, very interesting, but whether we will do that or not is another issue. So it's not so easy.
Yes, thank you so much, Professor Amano, and thank you so much, Dr. Vinataro, for bringing such an important point that, and as Professor Amano said, it's what would be wonderful if we know human has power to control the nature, the weather, and then all the problems, disaster, everything would be solved. We will be so powerful, but it's not possible. So I request Professor Hitoshi to provide his valuable comments. Yeah, Dr. Hitoshi.
Hi. I have question, and new technology have reduced some risk, but however, some another risk will be high. So, first, in moonshot, Japan, some 8 or 9 goal is shown.
Yes.
Before show is set, maybe some new suggested new technology has, of course, posed new merit to world, but before that, maybe there is some demerit. So, of course, we begin the moonshot project. We a little how to say in English? Sorry. How how to say in English? Sorry. How we should we consider the another risk?
Yeah. Yes. For example, by monitoring, for example, in case of the humanity or the mind, not the mind control, but mind actuation, it may be possible by monitoring every the situation of our body. Maybe it is possible, or by sensing the situation of mind. Maybe it will be possible, and then we can control the the lower level mind to higher level or very excited situation. It may be possible in future, but the problem whether we will do that or not. If some bad people use this technology, maybe we can control other people's mind. So we should consider good good point and bad point, or a very dangerous point at the same time. As you mentioned, maybe we can control the typhoon, but the problem is it may cause the shortage of the water. Yeah, that every technology may have the dualities.
Yes, thank you so much, Professor Amano, and thank you, Dr. Hiroshi, for bringing this point in this discussion. I see there are young scientists who would like to ask question. Fatima, a Global Young Academy member, is here with us. Hi, Fatima. Would you like to post any question to Professor Amano?
Good noon, everybody. Professor Amano and my colleagues here in this session. My question is that actually for promotion we need publication and pure science, but for helping society we need to do more applied science, which may not lead to publication. So we are always struggling. If we do pure science, we get individual success, but not deep satisfaction. But based on the rule of the university, I'm from University of Tehran. We are very, our career is very dependent on the output and tangible publication. So, but after 10 years in the university, I don't feel much well because I think I did not much for my society. I have a bunch of papers, but not a real industrial or applied project. What's your recommendation on this point?
Okay. Yeah, the the funding to
Second
the
question.
pure science is the also the problem in Japan. The funding is decreasing for pure science, and it's more and more applied. But the education is very important. Education of the politician or education of the the people is very important. I mean, the pure science is very, very important, no doubt. So we should also pay for the pure science. So now the government or the politicians' mind is very, very slightly changes in Japan also. So the researchers like you or like me have to discuss with the politicians and then uh, explain the importance of pure science and also the applied science is also important. So the scientists, young scientists, should explain more about the importance of their research itself to the politicians. They, unfortunately, they decide the funding. So, uh, yeah, in my case, I have the chance to discuss with the politician, and then they are very clever, and they understand what we explain. So the discussion not only inside the researchers field, but also discussion with the politician or other people are very, very important. Okay.
Yes, thank you so much, Professor Amano, and thank you, Fatima, for asking a very important question. And this is not a problem of your country or Japan; it's a universal problem
Yeah.
faced by all the young scientists, and this is really a very big challenge and applicable to all the universities. And as Professor Amano rightly mentioned, science communication is the only solution. Communicate your science, show the importance of your science. You have to sell your science by showing what exactly is you are doing, and it's relevance to the common population. Maybe I think, marketing, we have to do a lot of marketing of our science, and also convincing the politicians, bringing them and explaining them the importance of this, pure science as well as applied science is the only solution. And for that, all of us have to come together, bring in all such discussions of young scientists together. We have Global Young Academy, various young academies, and through such gatherings and platform, we can definitely address such problems. Thank you so much, Fatima, and thank you, Professor Amano. So let's move ahead, and I see Dr. Pradeep has raised his hand, and yes, Pradeep, go ahead.
Shalini. Prof. Amano, I have another question now from Matthew's point. So from the ethics of AI maybe. So, Prof, how we control the human mind using artificial intelligence or all these technologies? So, I think this has been asked several times in several forums that where do we draw the line? So, for example, as a scientist, I want to feel passionate. Okay, so if I'm not feeling passionate about my research, I don't do well. Or if I'm not anxiety, there's no anxiety about the awards or the grants that you apply for, or if you don't see, if you control the human mind in such a way that the emotions of of science goes away. Let me put it this way. So emotions. So then it will be very, very difficult to even do anything after that. Then it will be yeah. So that's my comment as well as your take on this. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to mention that the AI is not the only way to control. It's not to control the mind. the young researchers try to actuate the human mind by not only the AI, but also, for example, music or other things, or music, sports, or other things. So the actuate the human mind. The AI is not the only solution for that. So the very traditional technology, the music is one example. By listening the good music, we can actuate my mind or our mind. So the the moonshots, the final goal is how to actuate the human mind. So maybe it's one of the solutions for that.
Okay.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pradeep. And if all the panelists permit, and also with the permission of Professor Amano, I would like to ask one question.
Mm-hmm.
What is the role of spirituality, religion, and science and technology? If you see, different countries have different religion and different, spirituality being followed. So how is that related, and what is its role in science and technology?
Wow, that's a very difficult question. But one scientist, not a scientist, one student proposed such a thing. According to him, the first step is the understand each other. This is the first step. He said. So he and his group tried to develop a new technology to understand each mind or each spiritual thinking. So maybe that's one of the way to go further to the next step. The first step should be to understand each other.
Thank you, Professor Amano. And maybe that is why in India, government has included the sessions on yoga and meditation during the school days. Also during colleges, it is mandatory. Like if we do not do that, specific funds will not be released. So yoga and meditation. So purifying your mind and understanding each other, as you rightly said, is most important than doing science and technology is what is the message. So thank you so much for very insightful thoughts. And if anyone else has questions to Professor Amano, I think yes, Dr. Alma.
Thank you. Well, this conversation is very, very interesting for me now because, well, always did, but we can say that is a fact that now we cannot control typhoon yet, but we can control the magnitude of the disaster caused by it. But in order to do that, we need to show the importance of basic research, but the social incidents too to the policymakers. And at the same time, we need to publish or perish, right? So this is a really complex problem, and I want to introduce a new factor in all these equations, if I can say. For example, in my country, in Mexico, I work with the science policy interface. I try to introduce new career option for scientists, with training programs to improve our capacities in governmental science advice, for example. But my main obstacles all these years are people, researchers, especially researchers in physics, that think that this mix with of the policy with the science, especially with a science like physics, that is so classic and so important and so essential, it's a kind of horrible thing, and that we they told me, Alma, this is not our problem. This is a problem for others. And you in academia, please, you don't work with that. Go ahead and try in other sites. So my question for you, it's what will be what will be your advice to them? Maybe they will listen to you because you are a physics also, and if you have an advice for me, I will appreciate so much. Thanks.
Okay. The okay. Maybe the natural science is not the only science. Maybe for example, the social science is also science, and there are many sciences. So yeah, we need the not the specialist is also very important. The natural scientist, the social science, economic science, that's very important. But also the discussion with each other, and then this find some the overall goal would be most important thing. So each scientist should consider their own specialty, and also they should consider a more global mind, or the more wider view. I'm not sure whether it is answering your question, but I believe that my experience is that before discussing with other specialists, other research field specialists, I only concentrate on the semiconductor physics, but through the discussion with other research field, I can enlarge the wide view of my mind. So to solve the social problem or global issues, only one solution is not enough. Maybe we need to discuss from the different point of view, and then find the solution by all the research in different fields is necessary. Is that
Yes.
okay?
Thank you so much, Professor Amano, and thank you, Dr. Alma. That's a very wonderful point and point of discussion. And yeah, we have to see also the time, how much time we have, and how many questions we can ask. Dr. Yoko is here. Okay. So I would like to ask one more question, and especially for young scientists. In your talk, you have tried to address already that question, but to morely insisting and focusing on that. And as you said that we scientists, young scientists, should collaborate, also talk to politicians and the government to bring out new changes and accepting these new technologies. So further, how young scientists can bring out the best, what are the responsibilities you have already mentioned for young scientists, but how can they make best use of various platforms like Global Young Academy, and how can they collaborate more effectively? Any thoughts or suggestion to young scientists who are working in different disciplines? Like, for example, I work in food technology, there is someone who is in from physics, someone from policy, somebody from chemistry, so all different disciplines. So how global young scientists or young scientists globally can collaborate and perform their responsibilities with more effectiveness and more effectively.
That's very important. But maybe this conference is one of the opportunities. And yeah, in our case, the I belong to the Nagoya University, and the previous Nagoya University, each laboratory have different subject, so there is no interaction between the neighboring laboratories. So that's the problem of the old Japanese universities. So now the situation changes drastically. In our centers, different field of researchers join in the same. So it's called under one roof concept. Yeah. So some people from the science department and some from the medical department, and then we joined in one buildings and discuss every day. So the situation changes drastically. So
Wow.
yeah, so making such a situation is very, very important for the university in Japan. I don't know how about the other countries or like your countries, but in Japan, the previous universities, each laboratory are very, very independent.
Yes, that's very important that under one roof concept. I really liked it, and maybe if I get a opportunity, I will definitely recommend to the higher authorities, because if I'm doing a food science, I'll be only focused on that. But imagine if a physicist or an engineer joins me, the production of that product, that food product that I'm making will be more effective, and it can
Yeah, yeah.
solve the global issues like more production and more productivity and lower cost. So yeah, that can do really amazing things. So yeah, thank you so much, Professor Amano, for answering that question. So if any other panel member has a question, please. Yes, Dr. Pradeep has one more question.
Sorry, Prof. This will be my last. I won't trouble you more. It's a selfish question, Prof. So I work in laboratory, lab-based science, and it requires too much funding. So and I'm trying to move into in silico research. So only computational modeling and all simulations. So what do you think as the future of in silico research going forward? Just moving from lab to in silico only. Thank you. That's my question.
You're moving from to
Lab-based research to in silico research.
in silico. What is in silico?
In silico is computational.
Computational. I see.
Yes.
Okay, I see. Yeah. In our group members, the computational members are also included. In every field, computation is very, very important. So, yeah, for example, semiconductor physics, how to grow the semiconductor crystals, we need collaboration with especially the computational people are necessary. And for device physics, the computational people are necessary. So computational physics are essential for every field. So I think that the understanding from the formula or understanding from the computational method is essential. For example, the typhoon control. For typhoon control, the computational physicists are first propose the technology of controlling the typhoon. they find a way from the computation, computer simulation. So I do believe that computational physics is essential for any kind of fields.
Okay, thank you, Prof. So this gives me some confidence. I can move ahead then. Thank you,
Yeah.
Prof.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Pradeep. And I see Dr. Clarissa has a question to be asked. Yes, Clarissa. Thank you.
I was wondering if by any chance have you had a very successful interaction with policymakers or with the industry where policies have been changed, and if you could share that story just to learn. Thanks.
Yeah. In our case, or in my case, we found some very nice material for next generation semiconductor, but at present, no one tried to pay for the research. So, fortunately, I can contact with some politicians after the Nobel Prize. Then I contacted with some politician and then explain why the new materials research are so important. Then one politician decide to pay or establish a new fund, and then we can get the fund from the government. Yeah, so yeah, in my case, the discussion with the politician is very, very important to get the research fund.
Yes, thank you, Clarissa, and thank you, Professor Amano. Is there anyone who would like to post a question or comment or talk to Professor Amano? Okay. I have a very different kind of questions.
Sorry, I think Dr. Rintaro had his hands up.
Okay. Yes, Dr. Rintaro.
Oh, sorry. I didn't want to interrupt. Thanks so much, Sharini. I have just two comments about the interaction between researchers and policymakers. I'm actually one of those few social scientists in the Institute for Environmental Studies. And it's a really great example for myself to mix with natural scientists. I still don't know what all those natural scientists are talking about, but I still have a hint of what they are actually interested in and how I can get the message across to a plain language. Also have some opportunities to work with the public relations department people of the institute, which makes me to rethink or reflect on my research in plain language. That's one comment. And another comment about the materials that Amano Sensei mentioned, that a Japanese artist has made a dress. She created a dress using a silkworm that she nurtured with a genetically modified silkworm or something. And if you wear that dress, the idea is that you might tend to fall in love with somebody or something like that. So if you put that new technology in an artistic form, in an exhibition or museum or something like that, then maybe you can get the message across to the wider audience and involve more people than conventions. That's just two thoughts that just came out to my mind. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Rinataro. Yes, it is. You are rightly said, and that different background scientists, like be it a natural scientist, social scientist, the scientists who are working on pure science, applied science. I think these are different areas, and we have to really think about breaking down those walls or barriers where all these scientists are brought together, mixed together. We should create such an environment that all should be able to work together. Maybe artists also, art and science and all disciplines brought together. Yes. So I have got a notification already. We have only 10 minutes for more discussion here in this room, and then we will have we'll be ending this room. So before we break out, I have one question, and it's like I do not know, Professor Amano. You are now a Nobel laureate, and two young scientists. They should work to the science or in the area of science and technology, so that the work is relevant to the society. Because nobody works keeping in mind that to get the Nobel laureate, and you are a Nobel laureate. So, what advice to young scientists you would like to give, so that maybe some of the young scientists might get a Nobel laureate, so that their efforts can get reduced? A very stupid question, but I thought, why not? You may not be knowing that you are going to get a Nobel laureate, and then when you got, wow, it's a big thing. So what advice or maybe tips or you would like to share with us? Thank you.
Okay. 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 According to my supervisor, he said to me, you should do what you want to do. You don't need to consider not the interesting things. You should concentrate only on what you want to do. Yeah, I'd like to send all the young researchers the same word.
Yes, thank you so much, Professor Amano. We will follow this, tip that we will try to follow that. And now I see Dr. Anandita, past co-chair of Global Young Academy, is here with us, and she has raised her hand. And yes, Dr. Anandita.
Thanks, Shalini. Hello, Professor Amano. I've been hopping between the rooms, so I'm late in this discussion. Sorry about that. So I have a question which is a little more general, and this is from the perspective of young scientists who are interested in engaging with society. So, there is a lot of push worldwide, especially in our countries in the global south, for research which is useful, has an immediate application, and the blue skies research is not uh, kind of appreciated by policymakers, does not get enough funding. But then if you look at the history of science, then we understand that only if a set of people continue to do blue skies research, you can have the technologies of tomorrow. And at the same time, there are a lot of major global issues which need solutions from science and technology. And there are people who also think that technology is the problem, which has created a lot of these global issues. So we have a lot of balancing to do as scientists in communicating with policymakers at one hand, the common public at the other hand, and future scientists as part of the triangle. So how would you advise people like us to kind of go about it so that we can strike a balance between sustainability, efficient science communication, as well as building trust in science among the general public?
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, that's also very important issue. But okay, if you cannot find some partner near you, there is someone who think similarly as you all over the world. So maybe uh, it is better to find some partner all over the world. If you cannot find the partner near you, so then the only one people can there is a limitation of the achieving by only one people. But if you find some the friend or the partner, research partner, your strengths become more and more higher. So there is actually someone who think similarly to your ideas. So discussing at the international conference or discussing with this kind of the conference would be very, very important, I think.
I think you've just told us that we should have the Global Young Academy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Anandita. Such an important question, and I am really grateful and thankful to Professor Amano for having such a wonderful discussion. I never thought I would get a chance to talk to you so closely and ask whatever question, and I am sure the other participants in this room also echoing the same, that they have enjoyed this session. I think there is one more question from Clarissa. Would you like to ask the question?
Yeah, I was just wondering if after this conversation, maybe you have some questions for us, since this is an intergenerational conversation, just out of curiosity.
Okay. So what is your interest? I'd like to ask all of you, what is your interest? And what do you want to do in future?
Maybe we can ask quickly. So my mission at the moment is to bring academics and policymakers together to create an agenda on global catastrophic risk governance.
Oh, I see.
And my objective is, I'm a food technologist. So through my research, I would like to address the global issue of malnutrition through developing the cost-effective food products which can be affordable by all common population.
I see.
My case.
Would like to treat. I would like to treat everyone without drugs. Thank you.
Thank you.
In my case, I am trying to training. I am trying to establish new training programs to a new generation of scientists capable to work in the policy arena, but in the scientific arena also.
Oh.
Thanks.
Yes.
Yeah, I try to do a lot of outreach, and I would like to take the passion of science to as many young people as possible.
Oh, really?
Fatima?
To do a discovery, like discovering a natural drug or something.
Natural drug. Oh.
We are going back to the plenary.
Oh, we have to go back.
Yes.
Oh.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
the time. Yes, it was a very wonderful session.
you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, and see you in the main session.
Prof.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we all come back to the main session and we are starting the final summary session. I'll pass my mic to Dr. Anindita Bhatta.
Thanks, Yoko, and welcome back to the final plenary session, everyone. It has been a wonderful discussion which we have had in the 3 breakout rooms. I had the pleasure of visiting all 3 rooms and interacting with the people present in the rooms. So thank you first to Professor Kajita, Professor Amano, and Professor Novoselov for the wonderful discussion that we all had with you. And I think it's great that you have taken all our questions, some very deep, some very naive, and some provocative. And all 3 of you I was seeing were handling the questions with a smile and with a lot of indulgence to us young scientists. So we are really honored to have you with us, and thanks a lot for indulging us and for allowing us to ask you all these difficult questions, some of which you might have found it a bit difficult to handle. Sorry for that. Let me also thank our moderators, Michael, Shalini, and Almas, for the wonderful moderation of all the 3 sessions. So as I was hopping from room to room, we were going through very interesting and engaging discussions. We have discussed topics ranging from how can science education be more innovative and why do we need to do that, to what is the role of spirituality and religion in science and technology. We have had young scientists give feedback and the Nobel Laureates comment on all of these wide range of questions. And I summarize kind of the main themes which have emerged in all the 3 rooms. It was really interesting to see that though the questions that we started off with in the 3 different rooms were quite diverse, somehow all the discussions migrated towards very key issues. One was that we really need science and technology for the better future of the world to handle major global issues. And that is something everywhere we were somehow bringing up the pandemic and what we have learned from the pandemic, the positives as well as the negatives. Another major issue that came up in all the 3 rooms is the importance of education and the importance of science education from a very early age to inculcate the spirit of logical reasoning, the spirit of scientific thought, the acceptance that science is not going to give you the ultimate solution to everything, the acceptance that theories can be negated. I really appreciated this statement that science does not support democracy. Science is not a democratic process at the end, because you might have a lot of theories which are put forth, but then all of this have to be tested, and then one would be accepted, others might fail the test, and then a good scientist will accept that they were wrong. And that is the spirit of science. We grow together, we learn through our mistakes, and we accept our failures, and we say that, okay, science explains the existing knowledge, science can build predictions, predictions need to be tested, and something that fails the test has to be rejected. And this is the process of science which we need to inculcate in the future generations. And only then we are going to have a resilient society which will have trust in science. And we need trust in science, not just to engage with society, but also to get involved with policymakers, because as again, in one of the rooms we were discussing, that political interests and public interests might not always match the interests of science. Science gives returns in long terms, whereas society often demands returns on a short-term basis, and that is where we need to strike a balance. Another very important theme which has emerged is the need for communication. Communication among scientists, across disciplines, the need to break silos and barriers and build bridges. communication between scientists and members of the society, be it politicians, be it policymakers, be it the common people, be it school children. We need to communicate at every level, and communication is very important. Again, communication, the importance of communication can be looked at from different perspectives. One is that just, engaging people to help them understand findings of science, but also the need to communicate our findings to the industry, getting them to come into the market to give products which will eventually benefit society. We should not be hoarding knowledge. And I think this is very important, especially because where in the whole world we are talking about the need for open access, getting resources out there. And again, the pandemic has taught us a very important lesson of how people across the globe can share knowledge and give results much more quickly than we have seen in the past. A third theme, which again emerged in all the three rooms, is the need for honesty. Scientists need to be honest to themselves first. They need to follow what they think is the best, what they want to do with honesty. They need to communicate their findings with their peer groups with honesty, and they need to communicate with the public and policymakers honestly. We cannot hide facts. We cannot hide information. Information has to go out, and that is the need of the day. So personally, I felt that these are the three main themes which have emerged out of all the discussion. Of course, I'm not covering all the different questions which we have discussed in the three sessions, because each session had its own set of participants discussing different issues. And I think it was very nice that in one of the rooms, Shalini finally asked a question which many of us as young researchers might want to ask, but think it's very naive. She asked, how does one become a Nobel laureate? And Professor Amano answered with a smile, my supervisor told me, just do what you want to do. Don't think whether it is important or not. And I think that's a very, very key message for all of us. And that is where our honesty lies. If we do what we think is most important for us, and if we follow our dreams, together we can build a better world. Again, Professor Amano was asked, what we could do to kind of strike a balance between trust in science and policymakers and funding for science and all the big issues that we want to ask. And he said that you need to find partners across the globe who think like you and work together. And I thought that was very nice way to end the session, because the only the comment I could make, and I'm going to repeat that here, is that you're asking us to build the Global Young Academy, because that's exactly what we do. We come together to do things that we like doing, that we believe in, that we think are important for us and to society, and we find partners across the globe and build a large network of young people who really believe that they want to do something for a better future. So I'm going to wrap up on that note, and I will again express my gratitude to all the organizers of the conference, especially to Professor Nonaka and Yoko for organizing this great session. And thanks again to our very special guests of the day for spending this wonderful time with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and indeed, I really envy that you are very eloquent, that all the discussion can be summarized that way. Thank you very much. And as we have a little bit more time, like 7 minutes left until closing, I'd like to welcome the final comments from laureates, if it's okay for you. Because not everybody can join the three rooms as Anindit and I did. So it will be wonderful to listen to all of you at the end. Maybe start with Professor Kajita. Please provide a message to young scientists.
Well, okay, thank you very much. I didn't expect to speak here. Anyway, first of all, thank you very much for the nice discussion. I really enjoyed this discussion. And well, I was impressed by the young scientists. And well, certainly it's very important that you, young scientists, are thinking about the future of the society, future of the earth, everything. And your activities will change the world. So I hope you continue working for the better future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Professor Novoselov, please.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the discussion today. It was a good fun. So very nice conversations, fantastic panels. Really enjoyed. And I guess to summarize it here, we spoke a lot about how to support science, how to support scientists, and how to bring the bridges between public and science. And I think the best way would be really to convince people that doing what they most like doing, either in science or in art or in any other areas, and using scientific methodology is the best. And the as I said during our panel, the only advice I can give is to try to enjoy what you are doing, and then you will get a success. And it doesn't really matter if not many of our students will become scientists. Not everyone should be a scientist. So we need great engineers. We need politicians as well. So, but I think the basics of the scientific knowledge and the vision of the world from the scientific perspective is very, very important, as indeed has been demonstrated during these pandemics. So science is actually everywhere, and we need to promote it.
Thank you very much. And Professor Amano, please. Professor Amano, maybe you are muted.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm so impressed with the discussion with the young researchers, and I always can find this interest by studying with the young researchers. I mean, the the natural science is not the only science. There are other sciences. So the discussion with the different field, the experts, is very, very exciting and interesting to me. So discussion, through the discussion and through the understanding, maybe we, the young researchers, can establish a new world. So the discussion and understanding would be the very important step for the future, for the bright futures. So it's your duty to establish a new future. So do your best.
Thank you very much. I was really happy to hear the encouraging message, and especially I think 3 of the laureates saying that do what you like as a young scientist and make the better future. So we as young scientists receive the message, enjoy the conversation, and we have to carry on our responsibility as well. And I really also happy to learn that the laureates enjoyed conversation too. And I believe it was a great success in terms of making a place for discussion among senior and young scientists. That was the purpose of this session today. So again, thank you very much for the Nobel laureates who generously shared their very busy time with us. And thank you very much for all the moderators and panelists who are enthusiastic about discussion of science, technology, and innovation for the society. Thank you very much. And it's about the time to close. So now I announce the close of this session. Thank you very much for the cooperation.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Really appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.